going back to the computer labs,
we had some fun.
that was interesting, you know. And if you want to tell the audience a little bit about, you know, what we built, you know, because this is before cloud computing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we were going around setting up computer labs. One in particular was called ShoreTech. We had gotten an opportunity to work with Shore Bank Neighborhood Institute. Shore Bank is no longer in existence. I think it's now it was bought out by U.S. Bank.
Okay,
but it was a local neighborhood bank. You know, they had branches on the south side and the west side, and they actually owned quite a few properties on the west side of Chicago. And so we had the opportunity to set up computer labs in those properties, and give access to computer and computer learning training to young people, children. Actually, it was people of all ages.
Yeah,
had access. You know, anybody could come in and learn how to use a computer. And so they had internet access. At that time, we were setting up servers in those computer labs. It was a big deal. And I mean, it was like the old computers. It was like these white monitors, CRT.
Gateway computers.
Gateway computers, like with little towers, you know what I mean? It looked so cool, you know what I mean, back then. But now you look at it, it's like, man, what is that? Like if I was to show my kids that, they were like, oh, that was some old computers, like dinosaurs. But it was really cool. I mean, we met a lot of good people. Yeah. We did a lot of great work, and we had a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So I would call that a recipe for success.
Yeah. I mean, the benefits for the community was almost, you know, instant.
Instant. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was a really cool experience, you know, for me, because I participated during the day and the evening. You know, I helped, you know, build curriculums.
You were actually doing some of the classes, weren't you?
Yeah. Some of the programs for Microsoft Office, you know. So I mean, different for the adults, but then kids coming after school, you know, work on their homework a little bit, you know, giving out floppy disks.
Oh my goodness!
Remember those?
Oh, floppy disks. Yeah. How could I forget?
Had so many.
Put your resume on the floppy disk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just save it on that. Yeah. Yep. No doubt. I remember.
That's right.
Yeah. That was before, well, it was like the early stages of Google. Well, Google wasn't a public company at that time. You know what I mean? We were just, we were like using web crawler and Alta Vista and whatnot.
Alta Vista and GeoCities.
Yeah.
Build your website on Microsoft Front Page.
Front Page, yeah. Then it was Dreamweaver, and it was, it was a whole thing. Man.
That was an interesting time. I mean, I picked up, I used to go to the Borders on Michigan Avenue back in the day. And I picked up the Networking for Dummies.
Oh wow! Yeah, those for dummies books, you know, can be really helpful.
That was my cheat. That's my cheat code.
Cheat code. Yeah.
Routers and switches.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Back then we were setting up hubs, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, you had to crawl everywhere. I mean, I had the cargo pants from Sears.
Oh, okay.
Those came in handy.
Man, we're bringing in all the old old names: Sears, Borders. All of these companies are no longer even around anymore. That's wild.
Yeah. It's I mean, that was definitely an interesting, you know, time, but it was also the time when you decided to start your company.
That is true. That is true.
NTG.
Yes. And you were instrumental in that as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, when we started doing all this work in the neighborhoods, there were a lot of organizations that have received grants, like Westside Health Authority did, to bring in technology resources. So you had a lot of organizations that suddenly had Cisco routers. They had, you know, server equipment. Yeah. They had computers. They
just
had
high tech.
You know, there's all kind of equipment. Yeah. And then you get all this equipment. It's like, well, who's going to set it up? Who's going to configure it?
That's right.
And then once you get it all set up and everything, who's going to do the training on it?
Yeah.
And so...
And who's going to administer it?
Who's going to administer it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it created another gap, another divide, you know what I mean, of learning. And it was at that time that we were like, well, maybe we can help. And so we started to go to some of these organizations, some of these places on the weekends and after hours, after work, and help them set up their equipment. And obviously we had to get paid. Yeah. We had bills, you know what I mean? And so after a while, we were like, man, we can do this on our own. You know what I mean? Like this could be a viable business. And at that time, so I have two partners, Tavarian Dinkins and Brian Franklin. they were working on the corporate side. They worked for General Motors in IT, and they would come in, and you would come in as well, and we would get to work. Man, I mean, I remember we would work all night long setting up some of these systems.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they would come in and get the internet rolling. And like I said, it was right on the cusp of when the breakout of broadband happened. You know what I mean? Before that, it was dial-up. So when broadband hit, man, it was on. We were watching videos and everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a wild time. But so from that, we started Net Telligence Group, NTG for short. And the rest is history, man. We just started doing projects, and, you know, after doing projects, then people wanted to sign us on to a retainer to help them, you know, monthly. And that's how it started, and it has evolved over time, man. It's been 23 years.
Wow.
Since we started that. And I think back and I'm like, man, that's crazy. When you think the majority of small businesses that start, they don't make it past 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then even a greater percentage, they don't make it 5 years, you know, 10, 15, you know what I mean? We've been in business for 23 years, man. So that's a blessing.
Yeah. Congratulations,
you know, man.
man.
Thank you, man.
A lot of hard work, and a lot has changed in tech over those, you know,
tremendous
23.
There was no mobile back then. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There was no Wi-Fi back then, you know what I mean? Like
Wi-Fi. We take that for granted right now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
There was no Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And now we're talking about Wi-Fi 6.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, yeah, wild, man.
And where